We cannot conduct covert operations. If a committee puts out a report which refers to an activity which leaves out the name of a country or individual concerned, but gives enough evidence for any amateur sleuth to identify it beyond a shadow of a doubt in times for its identification to be carried with the news stories of the report itself.
That is the...
All right, but you believe you're consistent with the statutes, but there isn't any statute that prohibits your interception of domestic communications.
I believe that's correct.
Yo, what's up, guys? It's your boy, Benny. So, we like to separate fact from fiction on this show. However, it is becoming really hard these days because the conspiracy theorists are really rolling up the scoreboard, running up the numbers against the people who like to stick to the official narratives. And who creates those official narratives? Well, our intel agencies, says Tucker Carlson, in confirmation that Operation Mockingbird is still going. Well, what is Operation Mockingbird? Operation Mockingbird is the CIA planting agents or assets inside of news companies in order to push propaganda on the American people. Propaganda like Hunter Biden's laptops, Russian disinformation. Propaganda like Russia stole the 2016 election. Propaganda like stay home, stay safe. Yes, these people want to control your lives, and they use the media and journalists and the corporate press in order to do that. And they have for your entire lifetime and my entire lifetime. Tucker Carlson, who's worked at these corporate media outlets, says so in an interview that just dropped.
Take on a Wolf Blitzer type, because whenever I
take a close look at his history. Actually,
I'm always like, why would he do this? Why would he say a bunch of stuff he doesn't believe or he must know is untrue? Like, what? He sat there as this sort of elder statesman of news and just sort of lied right through COVID and many other subjects. Why would he do that? Why would he do it to his legacy?
I worked with Wolf for years, never had a problem with him. It was always nice. No one wants to hear it, and I'm sure most people won't believe it, but I can tell you, having lived it for many years, it's true. The intel agencies have a big effect on what is broadcast on television and what you see on Facebook and Google as well. I mean, they're all up and down Facebook and Google, as I'm sure you know. And, there are a lot of anchors who, including people I know well and have worked with at different networks. I'm thinking of one in particular, a national security reporter who was just a mouthpiece for the Pentagon and the CIA. And is knowingly telling lies on their behalf. That's very, very common, very common. And I can think of a number of people at CNN who I know for a fact are doing that exact thing.
Okay, so just stop for a second. Tucker Carlson, who used to have a hit show at CNN, back when CNN tried, at least remotely, to be balanced, Tucker Carlson anchored Crossfire, which was like the biggest show in the country. Tucker Carlson knows the staff at CNN. He knows them very, very well. The staff at CNN are obsessed with Tucker Carlson. The news gathering circles in Washington, D.C. are incredibly small and getting much smaller these days as corporate news fires their reporters. And so Tucker Carlson knows these people and all but confirmed that Operation Mockingbird effectively runs CNN. That the CIA and the intel agencies run CNN. So important. Keep listening.
And so, they're reading government propaganda from the intel agencies knowingly. And I'm sure they've got some internal rationale that allows them to get up in the morning and face themselves despite having done something that dishonest. But I'm just telling you, bottom line, I know that is true. I'm not speculating at all. And in particular on the national security stuff, there are very well-known national security reporters, and I'm thinking of one female national security reporter in particular, who just reads lies from the national security state. And it's wildly frustrating. And it would just make me mad. Even if I don't agree with the lies, okay, but even if I did agree with the lies, I would be offended because they're lies. They're lies. Like when CIA and the Pentagon were claiming that Bashar al-Assad used poison gas against his own people. Okay, there was no evidence that was true. Maybe it was true. There was no evidence it was true. None. Zero. And I called them out and they could not provide any evidence. And yet every national security, and it was a big deal. We killed a lot of people in response. We sent in missiles and killed a lot of people. We took human life in response to that claim. And it was, as far as I can tell, a lie. And every national security reporter, every channel repeated it uncritically. The Biden administration blew up Nord Stream and, created the largest act of industrial sabotage in history, the largest man-made CO2 emission in history, an environmental crime. This is a huge deal. This happened. And every national security reporter just looked right into the camera and said, well, we think Russia did it. Well, they knew Russia didn't do it. That's a lie. And they knew it was a lie. So I just think, and again, I'm not speculating. I spent my life in this business, so I've seen it. People underestimate the degree to which the people sitting on the news, possibly even Wolf Blitzer, are repeating talking points from the intel agencies and doing it on purpose. It's scary, man. Really scary.
Scary, man, says Tucker Carlson. I simply use Wikipedia to bring forth these sources to you. I have a damning video that you're going to want to see. In a 1973 document called The Family Jewels, published by the CIA, containing a reference to Project Mockingbird, which was the name of an operation in 1963 which wiretapped journalists and had publishers publish articles. Ladies and gentlemen, in the Church Committee, which was the last time the United States government decided to surveil and look into the operations of the CIA, they uncovered that the CIA was, in fact, paying personalities in print, in TV. This was in the 1970s, so you didn't have the internet yet, and in the newswire service. And then some of the heads of the news services, like CBS, straight up admit to it. Watch.
Do you have any people being paid by the CIA who are contributing to a major circulation American journal?
We do have people who submit pieces to American journals.
Do you have any people paid by the CIA who are working for television networks?
This, I think, gets into the kind of getting into the details, Mr. Chairman, that I'd like to get into in executive session.
At CBS, we had been contacted by the CIA. As a matter of fact, by the time I became the head of the whole news and public affairs operation in 1954, ships had been established, and I was told about them and asked if I'd carry on with them.
Do you have any people being paid by the CIA who are contributing to the national news services, AP and UPI?
Well, again, I think we're getting into the kind of detail, Mr. Chairman, that I'd prefer to handle in executive session.
Senator, do you think that you named the news organizations in your final report?
That remains to be decided.
I think it was entirely in order for our correspondents at that time to make use of CIA agent chiefs of station and other members of the executive staff of CIA as sources of information which were useful in their assessments of world conditions.
Would you say that continues today?
Well, I would think probably for a reporter it would continue today, but because of all of the revelations of the period of the 1970s, it seems to me that a reporter's got to be much more circumspect in doing it now, or he runs the risk of at least being looked at with considerable disfavor by the public. I think you've got to be much more careful about it.
So, yeah, ladies and gentlemen, this is Tucker Carlson straight up saying that that is still operational 50 years later. Of course, our politicians are cowards. They didn't do anything to stop this, and so now we must live inside of this psyop state that has total and complete control in order to manipulate the masses, which is why we would do the work every single day, waking people up on this channel. Tucker Carlson saying the CIA is knowingly telling lies to journalists who repeat them unquestioningly, and we'll never know why. Tucker Carlson, the people in D.C. are stupid. I wouldn't let Fauci give my wife a pedicure. Yeah, gross. Can you imagine something worse than Dr. Fauci touching your wife or you with a needle or anything? Ugh.
Living next to my brother, who I'm really close to, my best friend, and now we live together again in another state. And so I spent my whole life with my brother, and he spent, like me, his whole life in Washington. So, from high school on, And we go for a walk every single morning with 7 dogs, and we climb this mountain every single morning. And we always talk about Washington, where we spend our lives. And we have no respect for the people who live there. We don't think they're smart. Both of us think they're stupid. And we don't think that because we saw it on the internet. We think that because we live next to them for 35 years. I have no respect for them at all. Nothing they have done works. They should not be in charge. They're not worthy of it. They're too stupid, actually. So, it's just so funny. The conceit that they're smart, what do they call themselves? I'm a wonk. You think I'm smart? They've never read a freaking book. I mean, these are truly dumb people. And somehow they've hoodwinked the nation into thinking they're experts in something. I literally wouldn't hire Anthony Fauci to do anything other than apply for government grants. That's the only thing he's good at. I would not hire him to run a business. I would not hire him to cure my cold. I wouldn't have him give my wife a pedicure. He's not qualified. These people are not impressive. That's the actual truth.
Yeah. Well, these people are terrified about what Tucker Carlson is about to do to them. Chadwick Moore, who is the official biographer of Tucker Carlson, saying effectively that Tucker's next big interview is going to be with a man named Larry Sinclair, somebody who had all of the press, and Tucker Carlson, in his corporate media shackles, were not allowed to interview because Larry Sinclair has very detailed sworn affidavit and lawyered up allegations against Barack Obama. Let's just call it sexual encounters with Barack Obama, which also include drug paraphernalia and so on and so forth. And then Larry Sinclair, of course, was persecuted by the Biden family for these revelations because Joe was on the ticket. Ooh, man, that's going to be juicy. Tucker Carlson again saying that they're going to stop at nothing from assassinating, effectively, Donald Trump. If you begin with criticism, then you go to protest, then you go to impeachment, now you go to indictment, and none of them work. What's next? Graph it out. We are speeding towards assassination, obviously. Yikes. Ooh, man, yikes. There's something about Trump that's so threatening, they just can't have it. Ladies and gentlemen, Tucker Carlson up with this interview with Donald Trump. 250 million views. Arguably the most viewed interview in human history, depending on the metric. Tucker Carlson, again, crossing the 10 million person follower threshold on Twitter, which is something else, which is tough, baby. That is a tough one to crack. Tucker Carlson is rocking and rolling. He's the greatest threat to the system as we know it. And he has become more powerful since they struck him down. You'll love to see it, the hero's arc. It's your boy Benny. Like, share, and subscribe to destroy the communism that Tucker Carlson wishes to destroy along with us. See ya.